2024 has been my year of exploring more African countries than ever. I spent 3 weeks traveling across East Africa, and almost immediately after I returned from Kenya, I jumped on a bus to travel from Nigeria to neighboring West African countries. I'll share almost everything I did, how much I spent, and give tips on free activities that are worth your time in these countries. I got extorted traveling alone across borders, and people made assumptions about me because of my nationality. Over the next few minutes, I will take you on an in-depth journey and explain how I was able to travel to 3 countries and have the time of my life for 2 weeks on a budget of $370. This video is perfect if you're planning a trip to Benin Republic, Togo, or Ghana. We'll cover everything you need to know before you travel and different ways to travel by road and expose incredible corruption levels at the borders. Put your device in full screen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey of a lifetime. My budget for this trip was light, to say the least. I elected to travel from Lagos to Cotonou by road. Traveling by road comes with different issues and it comes in different forms. You can do the usual border to border, which is a mixture of buses and motorcycles to get you to and across the border. It's allegedly cheaper, but it's not a risk I'm willing to take at this stage in my life. The next best option is one of the numerous transport companies traveling across the West African coast. I did my research and settled on GIGM. The bus cost around 45,000 naira. I think a bit lower, 44,000 and change. And the price to Cotonou and Lome was the same. The bus had Accra as its final destination. There was also a GIGM terminal close to my home, so it made perfect sense. I went a day before, paid for my ticket, and was told to be there before 6 a.m. The next day came and I arrived at the terminal a few minutes after 6. We waited for more than an hour before we finally left the park. It wasn't a great way to start the trip. A few minutes into the journey, we stopped to pick up passengers from a different bus and started the journey towards the border proper. The Lagos-Badagry road still leaves much to be desired. We arrived at the semi-border after a few hours, spent about 20 or so minutes there going through the border formalities, and we were back on the road. This is my first West African road trip since the pandemic. The biggest change is the last time I came, I made such a trip and 1,000 naira was worth about 1,600 francs. But today, 1,000 naira would give you 400 francs, which is quite unfortunate and just goes to show how much or how far this country has fallen in a relatively short time frame. It's hard being from this country. We finally arrived at my stop, the Friendship Stadium in Cotonou. I miss the feeling of jumping on a bus and traveling across West Africa. Benin Republic brings back lost memories. When I got to Cotonou, I went to the mosque to pray because it was a Friday, and then we went out. My first meal in the country was this, and it was an amazing meal. I don't know what it's called and I don't care. All I know is it tasted great. The Cotonou Graffiti project has to be one of the most exciting and creative projects in recent memory in this part of the world. This is the longest graffiti project in Africa, and although different sources were conflicting, but I think it's one of the largest, if not the largest, in the world at this point in time. It's on the Cotonou Ports fence, and this road that we are on is one of the most exciting roads in the entire country. You can find the Amazon monument next door. You can find one of the most exciting beach. It's like very eyebrow, and when you get there, there's a lot to do. This graffiti project is beautiful, obviously, and it's creative, and it just goes to show that something that people consider to be ugly can be done in a way whereby it makes sense and it attracts the right people and it tells the story of the country how it should be told. If you plan to visit Cotonou, Benin Republic, without visiting the Amazon Monument, then go back home. Why are you coming here? The Amazon Monument has become a must visit for every local and international alike. It is the face of the city now, in my opinion. If you Google Cotonou or you Bing Cotonou, this monument is one of the first things you would see. It's free, just like the graffiti project, and it's a melting point for people from across the city, from across the country and across the sub-region, because I saw people from different countries coming to admire this work of art. There is an amazing beach behind it, and when we were there, an event was going on, I think like a farmer's market, but I'm not sure. The story of this Amazon monument and the idea is very, very commendable. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And it just goes to show that if we put our mind to it, things can be done in this part of the world for real. On day 2 of my visit to wonderful Benin Republic, we went to the famous Ouidah town. If you've seen major content from Benin Republic, I chanced that it was from Ouidah town. The first place we visited was the Pythong Temple. The Pythong Temple is a must-visit place when you come to Benin Republic. Depending on your faith and depending on how strong it is, you might not want to go here because this is an actual voodoo temple. But I found it funny that there was a cathedral directly opposite it. So Benin Republic is unofficially known as the voodoo capital of the world. Voodoo is a proper and legitimate religion here, and a lot of people practice it either independently or alongside maybe Islam and Christianity. When I went in there, it felt very airy, but I didn't really feel like scared or anything for that matter because I'm confident in my faith and I'm confident that this is nothing more than a tourist site to me. I got to put a snake on my neck, I wasn't scared of the snake at any point, but the smell was something else. Oh my god. I know they are wild animals. I know wild animals smell, but whatever you imagine a snake to smell like, I'm confident that that's what they smell like. It's paid entry. This is the first place in this video that we had to pay. I think it was 2,000 francs per person. I don't know, you can do the conversion on Google. And after we were done, I tipped the guy that was like our unofficial tour guide. Yeah, I forgot, I think 1,000 or so. It's not compulsory, but I don't know, I feel the need to tip when somebody does a good job. It's a bit spooky for those of us that are not really that strong like that, but it's nothing. It's a must visit and you should visit it and put a snake on your neck. It's not dangerous. At least it wasn't dangerous to me. Next up, we traveled across the city of Ouidah for a few minutes and arrived at the point of no return. Slavery is awful, but all my life when I heard about slavery, it always felt very distant in terms of time and in terms of reality. But we visited an actual slave port. Thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people that looked like me were shipped off from this particular point. This was the last they ever saw of their land before they were shipped across the world to be basically property. It was an awful experience, and I don't know, for some people it might be too much to handle. It definitely took a lot for me to stay dry. The monument is beautiful. Shout out to the Benin Republic government for making this a proper monument and reviving the tourism in this area. Kudos on that. There's a similar installment down the road that was installed for the millennium, that was year 2000, and I feel like when you visit you should check that out. People aren't usually there. They're usually crowded at the main monument for the point of no return. After that, we spent some time on the beach, and it was just, I just kept looking at the water, and it was a reality. Like, this is the last view that many people saw ever of their land. It's free to visit here, but what you do not pay in cash, you get to pay in your mental health, because I still think about it now and it's a lot to handle. I hope you visit here, especially if you're a black person, and I hope you take time to look at how far we've come and how far we still have to go. The final spots we visited in Benin Republic was the wonderful Zinsou Foundation Museum. Another free place. I'm putting you onto a lot of free activities to do. The building has a colonial era design, and it's an art paradise in my opinion. From the entryway, it just feels very artistic. It feels very modern while also feeling very ancient. I don't know if that makes sense. When you walk in, you see a gift shop. There's a lot of books and designs at the entryway, and then each room has artworks that were on exhibition. There were paintings, there were sculptures. It just tells the story and the history of Benin Republic and this part of the world. I feel like art is something that is underrated, especially among young people in this part of the world, and I'm putting you on to art. Start visiting art museums. There are a lot of free art museums everywhere. You know what to do. If you're still here, thank you very much. You should definitely subscribe, because I have a similar video coming up about my experience in East Africa, putting you on to all the things I did and how to make the most of the experience. I went back to Cotonou, got on a bus and crossed the border into Togo at night. If you're crossing alone without a proper Nigerian transport company, you pay 2,000 to the Beninese and 2,000 to the Togolese to stamp your passport. It's like a standardized price and everybody knows it. Put that in mind. When I got to Lome, the first thing I did was to go find me an amazing meal of acheke. Acheke is my favorite meal in French West Africa, but unfortunately, it's not readily available in Nigeria. After I got my fill, I wandered around town aimlessly, and I will just come out and say that this part of the trip in Togo was the worst because I didn't really plan for this, and when I got there, I just bumbled and tried to get things done. I wandered around the city aimlessly and I stumbled upon a football match. I saw a lot of young people crowded. I was like, how much is the ticket? They were like 100 francs, which was like 250 naira. So I paid, I went in. It looked very amateur, like young people, youth grade level. So I watched the match. There was a lot of singing, there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of people were excited, and that's what makes football the beautiful game. I know nothing about who played or what the match ended in, but all I know is the joy and the experience was wonderful. I understand that poverty and inequality is a big problem in this part of the world, but I'm just going to come out and say that not everywhere in these countries are bad. Lome is actually a cool place and it has this very coastal feel. You don't get it a lot, even on cities that are on the coast. That's this very coastal feel, just very nice, very laid back. And while walking around, I found the National Museum. I believe it was right opposite the Independence Monument and right across the street from the 2 February Hotel. I believe it's an amazing place, it's an amazing spot. If you want to go to somewhere where you just try to see the best of what this country has to offer, definitely come to this spot. I understand that me not talking about the poverty and everything in West Africa would be leading you astray, but for once, let's focus on what these countries are doing right. If you want to have a feel of what can be achieved, come to the National Museum, Independence Monument, and Hotel do February. They're all in the same place. After a few relatively uneventful days in Togo, I continued my journey to Ghana, and this was the worst part of the entire journey. I'm not gonna lie. The Aflao border is a hive of corruption, and if you're not coming with like a Nigerian bus service that covers the corruption fees, you're going to have to pay from your nose. And the worst part about it all is prices are standardized. Oh my, prices are standardized. Everybody you ask, whether online, whether physically, they tell you 5,000 francs to the Ghanaians, 5,000 francs to the Togolese. And as God will have it, when I got it, that was it. I paid it because I had no choice. I had a choice, I could have turned back, but you know how these things are. I had the goal on what to do in Ghana. It was a horrible experience. When you go to the other side, you still have to pay customs, you still have to pay the person to touch your bag. Like, honestly, I never really thought of Ghana as a corrupt country, but the corruption here is incredible. Oh my God. After a horrible experience crossing the border, finally got to the other side, and I went to the first car company I recognized, which was STC, because this was my first time in Ghana. I paid 80 cedis for the drive to Accra, and then they told me that I had to pay 10 extra cedis for my luggage. I was like, bro, I have an hand luggage on me. Like that just drove me to the edge. Like that was my tipping point, because I was just so tired, and you are charging me for literal hand luggage. I took my money back, and then I went to find the local bus. We were there for a while for it to fill up, and it began to rain. But then as we went, it was raining for a while. It subsided. I don't know whether it subsided or we left where it was raining, but we got to Accra at night, and that was it about this experience. I was tired and ready to just forget about the unpalatable experience. But now we are here in Ghana. Let's go! Welcome to the beautiful Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Pavilion in Accra, Ghana. This beautiful pavilion was recently renovated or rebuilt, and it cost a lot of money, but I must say that the result is nothing but perfect. It costs 25 cedis for Ghanaians and 100 cedis for non-Ghanaians to enter, which is quite unfortunate in my opinion. I feel like this can be a spot whereby it could be free for Ghanaians and people could come from far away to come and connect, but that's just me. The receptionist assumed that I was Ghanaian and asked me for 25 cedis, and I was more than happy to pay just a quarter of the cost, even though I'm not Ghanaian. Nkrumah and his wife are buried in the famous pavilion, which is like the center of the attraction here. And couple goes. Unfortunately, Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, was buried 3 times. He served as president until a coup in 1966 He moved to Guinea but died in Bucharest, Romania, where he went to seek medical help. And due to his ouster, he was originally buried in Conakry, Guinea. Then he was moved to Nkrumah, his hometown in Ghana. And then finally, this pavilion was built in his honor. And according to my research on the internet, this is the spot on which he delivered Ghana's independence speech. So it's even more befitting. If you are visiting Ghana anytime soon, this is a must visit. I feel like we as people, even non-Ghanaians, we really need to go back and understand where the Pan-African fights started from, and the real champions of Pan-Africanism, we need to go back and reconnect with them so that we will stop straying away from the real essence of Pan-Africanism. Nkrumah Pavilion is a must visit, and I enjoyed my time there, and I'm confident you will enjoy your time there too, so plan for it. Next up, we have the amazing Black Star Gate, and I feel like the Black Star Gate, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Pavilion, and Black Star Square are the holy trinity of Ghanaian monuments that everybody that visits Ghana must go check out. And if you go to Ghana without checking the spaces out, then did you really go to Ghana? This Black Star Gate is arguably Ghana's most famous monument. As a child, whenever I saw Ghana on the TV, or this was always the image that was attached to Ghana. This was like the unofficial mascot of the country, which made it a must visit. And funny enough, I've been to Ghana multiple times and I've never been here before, which is crazy in itself, because why haven't I? This area is very symbolic, and there's Black Star Gate was very symbolic to Ghana. It was basically Ghana's way of announcing to the world that we're here, we're ready, and we're committed to getting it done. We might make mistakes, but at least we're making mistakes and controlling our activities. So this was really like the time to get things done. It is across the street from the famous or infamous Accra Sports Stadium and the Black Star Square. I would say that this area of Ghana is very symbolic to the Ghanaian struggle. When I moved to the Black Star Square, I looked back and I saw people at the top of the gate, and I did not know that was possible. So I ran back in, I entered. Obviously, the security asked me to show them love, which I did. And the view from the top was nice, I must say. It was great. The background music was like gave it that extra bit of ambience, and it felt very nice, I must say. How many times have I said I must say? But there's no way to put it. It's a very important place, but if you've been here before, it might not be necessary to come here again. But this was my first time at this area. And the Accra Sports Stadium is a very famous site, and for a Nigerian, it's infamous because of the rivalry that the Black Stars have always had with the Super Eagles. But it's unfortunate that the stadium has fallen into disrepair. I hope that one day, hopefully not too far in the future, this stadium is going to host a competitive Black Star versus Super Eagles match. Last but not the least, I walked to the next stop and I found the amazing Black Star Square. Obviously, this is a very symbolic square for Ghanaians, and if you're in Nigeria, this is like akin to Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos. The arches are very famous, and I've always seen it even before coming to Ghana. It's a cute spot to visit, I'm not gonna lie. It's open to everybody. Or it was open to everybody when I went. I walked around the church, but it was really getting dark, so I didn't spend much time there. It has a great view of the stadium and the Black Star Gate from here, and if you go to the right stand, you can see the ocean, and it's just very cute. It's quaint, and it's free, which is also nice. Whenever I travel, I always look for amazing things I can do on a budget, and Black Star Square ticks all the boxes, and it might tick all the boxes for you on your next visit to Accra. Any which way, it's been amazing visiting these monuments and getting to know more about Ghana. You can watch the full video on that right now, and I have a feeling you're going to enjoy it. I'll do it. Every day the value reduces.
When I saw it from my father, Musa is wearing a Ghana
Me,
t-shirt.
wear Ghana t-shirt. So your cousin coming at the end of the year.
Yeah. I love you.
I said they go. Clara, I'm waiting for you.
Perry will not be alone.
Hi, Ravel. No. It's not easy.
I'm already crying. I'm already crying.
Yeah? I don't know. Just press and die, go on.
I'm still alive.
Fine girl. Come.
Hey, I'm not there, boy.
Alva. While we wait for Perry.
So I should do what now?
You're gonna roll down the cut for you, brother. You don't the cut, though. Don't worry. No, I'm telling you.
Instructor, can I go? I have to eat.
Why just cut under my leg? Let's go! Yeah. I'm going. No, I'm going to the other side. All right.
You see that it's easy like that. Step on the wood, yes, and lift yourself up. Can you?
Upper body strength.
Perry, do you see that it's easy?
I'm stuck.
Just walk.
You will
in a
not be
straight
stuck here with
line.
me.
Help me.
Just walk in a straight line, okay?
Give me your hand.
I do it.
Give me your hand. No. Oh my God.
You would have pushed me so yet.
Tell one me how you feeling.
I'm done.
I visited a handful of art galleries during my stay in Accra, Ghana. The first was the Gallery 1957 location at Kempinski Hotel. Gallery 1957 is, in my opinion, Ghana's premier gallery space, and this gallery has 4 locations in Ghana and 1 in the UK. When I visited, Larry Amposa, a wonderful Ghanaian artist, was on exhibition. His work, titled "Mastery Might Be a Long Way Off, but the Flow State Induced by Floristry is Profoundly Rewarding," was on exhibition, and I completely enjoyed the spectacle. I do not regret going out there and enjoying the experience. Gallery 1957 is almost 10 years old now, and in that time it has grown to become one of the most essential art institutions in not just Ghana but West Africa. Kempinski Hotel is a well-known hotel, and when you visit Ghana or if you live in Ghana, you definitely need to go and check out Gallery 1957. Next up, I visited the wonderful Nubuke Foundation. Nubuke Foundation is perhaps my favorite structure from this series. The gallery sort of looks like an hybrid between a spaceship and a villain's lair. The architecture is 10 out of 10, I'm not gonna lie. It's located in East Legon on Lome Close. When I went there wasn't like a major exhibition going on, but works from 3 artists were on display. First was Afroscope, next is Chenki Reindorf, and the next is an Australian photographer, that's has lived and worked in this part of the world for a long time. Even if you're not interested in art, you definitely need to go visit the Nubuke Foundation gallery. I can assure you that you will not regret your time. And once again, these galleries are all free and open, like most of them from Tuesday to Saturday or Sunday. So you have everything to gain and very little to lose when you go. Last but not least, I visited the amazing Ada Contemporary Art Gallery at one of the Villaggio buildings in Accra, Ghana. With all due respect to the other artists and galleries on this video, my favorite exhibition was from the artist that exhibited at Ada Contemporary while I was there. His works looked at the effects of poverty, failing economies, and inequality on why Ghanaian and by extension African youths are desperate to leave their country or quote unquote Jakba. Once again, it was a free exhibition and you can watch the full videos of these art galleries, and I'm sure that as a young African you'll be able to connect to the story just as much as I did. Art is something that I recently became passionate about, and I feel every young person should give themselves the opportunity to fall in love with art. Visit a free gallery near you today. I stayed in 3 countries over the course of 2 weeks, and you might be wondering why I haven't talked about accommodation at all so far. I am blessed with the gift of friends. I have very large human capital in my opinion, and in these countries I have friends that were more than willing and offered to host me for my time there. So in Benin Republic, I stayed at my friend's place. In Togo, I stayed at a friend of a friend's place. He linked me up like, yo, don't worry, they are chill, and they were chill. And in Ghana, I stayed with old friends. It was amazing, and I always tell myself that this is what really matters to me. This is what I work for. This is what I strive for. I want to be the kind of person that you'll be happy to welcome into your home, and the kind of person I'll be happy to welcome friends into my home. But if you're looking for cheap accommodation, I would say get in touch with a local and let them lead you on how to get a cheap Airbnb or whatever alternatives they have on ground there. I feel if you link with a local, they can be able to get you good deals and get you the right apartment. Apartments always look good if you've never been to the country. The apartment or the neighborhood or the connectivity might not just make sense. We are almost at the end of this amazing trip, and although I've been to all these countries before, this is the first time I actually did it as a one-time collective. It was a very tiring experience. I slept on different surfaces every night. I was pushed to the edge, but one thing I would say is it was a trip that I needed to take for my personal growth. What would I do differently? I wouldn't go to Benin Republic first. I would go to Ghana first with a Nigerian transport company and then come back border to border. When you are going, they always extort you if you're a first-time traveler, especially first time at that border, and I have a new passport, so that was my first time. But when you're coming back, they have like a different price for first-timers and old-timers. Keep that in mind. And personally, I would plan my Togo quadrants better. Togo might be iffy in terms of what to do there, but I feel like I did not give myself the opportunity to succeed on that trip. So that's what I would do differently. For better or for worse, my trip has come to an end, and it's time to get back home. I decided to travel with GIGM because my friends that I was with, they really raved about it, and it was highly recommended by them. And that was the company I used to start the trip. So we are traveling with GIGM today. Ghana gets early faster than Nigeria. I mean, by 5 a.m. it looks like 6 a.m. in Nigeria. It was just so bright. So I got to the park late. When I got there, they were like, oh, the bus had left, but they are around. If we are paying, they can come back. Me and another lady that got there before me. So we paid, and in like 10 minutes or so, the bus returned and we started our journey towards the border. There was 2 seats left and just one at the back. So I let the lady choose first, and then I sat down alone. It was pretty uneventful to the border. I'm not even going to lie. Nothing of note happened. But when we got to the border, I was happy and relieved not to deal with the corruption. You can watch my video on corruption at the Aflao border. It was an unfortunate experience that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. When we crossed into Togo, I decided to dig into the meal I was offered. Standard white rice stew and a drumstick, which is great. They tried. I'm going to give them that. Togo is a very small country. It takes less than 1 hour to travel east to west. That's from Togo's eastern border to Togo's western border. And if you weren't driving speed limit, you could get there in less than 30 minutes. You travel the entirety of the country in a flash. And I guess that's good if you are a traveler, but bad if you're a Togolese. Why is your country so small? We arrived at the Ila-Konji border, and I had an unfortunate experience there too, where I had to pay 4,000 francs in total to get my passport stamped, and I learned that was like the normal price that everybody knows, and they basically agreed upon. But if you've already been there before, you only have to pay 2,500 or 2,000. But just like a mess. But I do not have a video on that because I looked at my drive and I don't have enough relevant clips on that, so you just have to take my word for it. When we got to Benin, I could already smell home, metaphorically, and I was just happy to get done with this. As much as I love traveling, I love going back home and just recuperating and being in my comfort zone. We traveled through Benin for a while and then finally arrived at the famous or infamous semi border, and as you can see, if you have not traveled through it recently as I had done, it's been completely rebuilt or redesigned, and it's now standardized with other borders across the region, which is great if you ask me. But we got into Nigeria, we had to wait for a while to get stamped, but the company arranged everything and I did not have to worry about the quote-unquote corruption. We got into the country. Lagos Badagry road still leaves much to be desired, and thank you very much for sticking with me so far. I can't even lie, this is my longest video to date, and I hope that it has helped you. If this video has helped just one person plan an amazing trip across the region, then my job here is done. Here is a breakdown of my total costs on this trip. I budgeted $300, but I ended up getting like $70 extra during my time there, so I just like, go big or go home. So $370 was my budget, and yeah, the prices are broken down in different currencies as I spent them, so I may need to do a bit of conversion here and there. But the reality is, even these currencies have changed. I shot the video earlier in 2024 and I'm releasing it in September, so keep that in mind. But anyways, hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you and see you soon. Subscribe.